Imagine watching a commercial that's only a few seconds old, and suddenly your heart stops. Something flashes by so fast you could swear your eyes are playing tricks on you. But then you rewind, and rewind again, slowing the video down frame by frame, because what you just saw couldn't possibly be real. Yet there it is, bold, clear, and impossible to ignore once you've caught it. In a dark, silent locker room, one player sits completely still. No music, no dramatic narration, just tension thick enough to feel in your chest. The camera creeps closer, breathing down her neck, like the moment before a predator strikes. She lifts her head, opens one eye, and for less than a second, the world sees something that doesn't look entirely human staring back. Most people missed it the first time, but the fans who didn't, they paused the screen, zoomed in, sharpened the pixels, and that's when the internet erupted. Because hidden inside that one eye, inside the pupil itself, was a symbol no one expected to find. A symbol tied to legacy, obsession, greatness, and one of the most dominant mentalities sports has ever witnessed. That one blink didn't just go viral. It sent shockwaves across the entire sports landscape. A secret message tucked inside a single frame that instantly transformed a rising superstar into something bigger than anyone predicted. Bigger than the hype, bigger than the league. A marketing moment so bold, it felt less like a commercial and more like a global announcement. Because if you looked closely enough, the message was unmistakable. There's a new force in women's sports, and she's about to take over everything. The commercial itself seemed simple, almost too simple. No flashy transitions, no loud soundtrack drowning out the moment. Just Caitlin Clark in a dimly lit locker room, completely alone, like she was preparing for something the rest of the world wasn't ready to witness. The light flickered above her, casting shadows that wrapped around her like a secret waiting to be revealed. She didn't speak, she didn't scream, she didn't even move, except for the slow tilt of her head and that one eye opening with razor-sharp confidence. It was the kind of stare that could cut through silence and make anyone watching feel like they were suddenly part of the challenge she was accepting. But then came the frame. That blink and you miss it moment that instantly became the most rewound second in women's basketball history. Fans froze the video and studied the image like it was a clue dropped into a mystery only they were smart enough to solve. And once someone spotted the hidden message, millions more followed. Inside Caitlin's pupil was a symbol that didn't belong there by accident. The unmistakable mark of a legacy built on dominance, obsession, and an unbreakable killer instinct. A symbol the entire world recognizes, the Black Mamba. Kobe Bryant's fierce identity staring back at viewers through Caitlin Clark's eye. The reaction didn't grow slowly, it ignited. Viewers paused, screenshotted, enhanced their brightness, circled the frame in red, and posted it everywhere. Social feeds flooded with theories, fan edits spread like wildfire, comment sections filled with 3 words. Did you see that? Nike didn't just release a commercial, they created a cultural moment. One that told every athlete, male or female, exactly who Caitlin Clark was becoming. The kind of competitor who doesn't just join the game, she rewrites the rules the moment she steps into it. And just like that, one silent stare turned into a worldwide conversation. A rookie had just triggered the kind of buzz that brands dream about but rarely achieve. And this wasn't the climax of the story. This was only the spark. For most athletes, getting featured in a Nike campaign is a milestone, a career highlight, a moment you look back on years later. But this wasn't that. This wasn't about showcasing a product or announcing the latest gear on store shelves. This was about a message, one powerful enough to shake the foundation of women's sports. When Nike placed that symbol inside Caitlin Clark's eye, they were saying something without ever speaking a word. They weren't hinting. They weren't being subtle. They were sending a global declaration, A new face of competitive fire has arrived, and she's about to take over everything. Because that Mamba mentality isn't handed out lightly. It doesn't go to just any athlete with a viral highlight or a temporary spotlight. It's reserved for the rare few who live and breathe dominance, the ones who treat pressure like fuel instead of fear. Kobe embodied that, and Nike made it clear. In this era, Caitlin Clark does too. Look at the reaction. Brands don't pour millions into someone hoping audiences will care. They do it because audiences already can't look away. Caitlin has become the magnet, the story, the spark that turns another basketball clip into trending headlines. She's not just an athlete on a roster. She's a cultural force, reshaping what's possible for women's sports. And Nike positioned her like a star who deserves her own orbit. The spotlight didn't shine on a team. It didn't highlight championships or banners hanging from the rafters. The entire narrative locked onto her, and the message jumped off the screen. Caitlin Clark isn't rising. She's already at the top of the mountain.
This wasn't just a product launch. It was a coronation, a signal to every league, every sponsor, and every fan that a new era isn't coming. It's already here. The craziest part of all this, the people who see Caitlin Clark's value most clearly aren't the ones running the WNBA. It's the corporations writing the biggest checks in sports marketing. The moment she turned pro, every major brand didn't just line up, they sprinted to secure their place at her side. Nike didn't treat her like a promising rookie. They treated her like the centerpiece of a new empire. They built campaigns around her energy, her confidence, her impact. They didn't highlight standings, trophies, or team rivalries. They highlighted her stare, her mentality, her "I'll take the last shot every single time" fire. And Nike wasn't alone. Gatorade, State Farm, Wilson, and a growing list of top brands didn't wait for her to prove anything at the professional level. They already understood what the numbers told them. Caitlin Clark doesn't just bring attention, she brings results. Viral spikes, sold-out merch, fans tuning in who never cared before. Think about how unusual that is. Most athletes need years to earn trust in the marketing world. They need accolades, championships, defining moments. But companies didn't need time with Caitlin because the moment she stepped into the spotlight got brighter. Brands are now moving money around her, not around the WNBA. They're making her the anchor of their campaigns, the star of their products, the face people instantly recognize. And that's where things get interesting. Every time companies invest directly in Caitlin, they're indirectly signaling the same thing. She's bigger than the traditional structure she plays inside. They're not waiting for the WNBA to catch up. They're not asking permission. They're doubling down on the future, and they're betting that future begins and ends with Caitlin Clark. What's happening right now with Caitlin Clark isn't just a spike in viewership. It isn't a momentary buzz or a lucky trend that will fade once the season ends. This feels like the beginning of an era, the kind of shift that marks a before and after in the history of a sport. Because fans aren't tuning in just to watch basketball, they're tuning in to watch her, to see the pull-up threes from miles behind the arc, to see that fearless swagger in the final seconds, to witness a player who carries her own gravitational force wherever she goes. When an athlete becomes the main event, everything around them changes. Casual viewers become loyal fans. Kids who never picked up a ball suddenly want to play. People who never cared about a league start checking schedules so they don't miss the next moment. That isn't normal growth. That's cultural ignition. It's the exact kind of phenomenon that turned athletes like Jordan, Serena, and Tiger into icons bigger than their sports. And brands know it. They're not investing because she's popular today. They're investing because she has that rare spark, The ability to transform every game into a shared cultural experience. Something you talk about at school, something you debate online, something you feel. When a rookie creates that kind of reaction before she's even reached her full potential, the industry has no choice but to pay attention. This isn't the league helping Caitlin rise, it's Caitlin dragging an entire sport upward with her. Every camera points in her direction. Every broadcast leans into her story. Every arena she enters suddenly feels too small to contain the energy she generates. She isn't growing because the WNBA is booming. The WNBA is booming because she exists inside it. That's why this moment feels bigger than stats, merchandise, or highlight reels. This is momentum. This is cultural power. This is a once-in-a-generation figure changing the trajectory of a league in real time. And the world is watching it unfold day by day, commercial by commercial, game by game. Now comes the uncomfortable part. The part nobody in the boardrooms wants to admit out loud. When one athlete becomes this influential, the balance of power changes. The WNBA has spent decades trying to build a collective identity, promoting parity, team brands, and the strength of the league as a whole. But Caitlin Clark's rise has forced a new reality into the spotlight. The league isn't driving her success. She's driving the league's success. That shift creates pressure. It raises questions that never mattered before. Should schedules be built around one player? Should major TV slots follow her instead of honoring previous structures? Should marketing dollars go where the returns are, even if that means focusing heavily on one face? These are questions that threaten the old system, where no single player was supposed to become the headline every night. But Caitlin broke that rule the second she stepped onto the court. Every game she plays feels like an event. Every arena she walks into suddenly becomes the place to be. The league may want to spread the spotlight evenly, but the audience is choosing its favorite, loudly and consistently.
And here's the tricky part. Leagues love stars, as long as the stars don't become bigger than the league itself. Because the moment that happens, everything shifts. The star gains leverage. The endorsements don't need approval. The narrative becomes player first, league second. Suddenly, the WNBA isn't shaping Caitlin's story. She's shaping theirs. That can be thrilling or frightening, depending on who you ask. To some, this is the moment women's sports have been waiting for, a true global superstar capable of changing the sport forever. To others, it's a disruption of a delicate balance, a reminder that growth sometimes comes from a direction you can't fully control. Either way, one truth is now impossible to ignore. Caitlin Clark has become the engine of excitement, the main attraction that sells out seats and pulls in viewers who never cared before. The league can embrace that power or risk letting the biggest cultural opportunity in its history pass by, while everyone else, sponsors, networks, and global audiences, moves forward without hesitation. Now we step into territory that hasn't been confirmed, but people are definitely talking. Behind the official campaigns and the sold-out merch drops, whispers are growing louder about what comes next for Caitlin Clark. Fans online are convinced that the commercial was more than advertising, that it was a warning shot for something even bigger coming soon. One rumor suggests that Nike is already preparing the groundwork for a full signature line built entirely around her image. Not a themed shoe tied to a legacy, not a limited edition sneaker that vanishes in minutes. An entire brand ecosystem designed around the initials CC, with the same global push given to legends who altered the trajectory of their sports. There's also speculation floating around that major networks want her front and center, not just occasionally, but constantly. More primetime games, more national broadcasts, more media coverage where she isn't just part of the conversation, she is the conversation. Some people claim these conversations are already happening behind closed doors, with networks pushing for scheduling decisions that prioritize the audiences she attracts. Again, unconfirmed, but the idea alone shows where the demand is heading. Fans are also convinced that cross-sport opportunities won't stop at a surprise golf appearance or a quick cameo. They're talking about multi-platform visibility, crossover events, expanded collaborations, maybe even her own show or documentary. When a single athlete becomes a must-watch character, other industries want a piece of that attention. And then there's the wildest speculation, the kind that makes people lean in just to hear it whispered. Some believe that Caitlyn may soon have enough influence to change how athletes negotiate their careers entirely. Imagine endorsement deals that operate independent of league affiliation, merch that outsells team products, a brand so strong that the institution needs her more than she needs them. None of this is confirmed, none of it is guaranteed, but the buzz exists for a reason. When a player captures the world's attention this fast, this intensely, the future stops following tradition and starts following them instead. The only real question now is, how big does Caitlyn Clark want to become? And is the world ready for the full version of that answer? So here we are. One single frame in a Nike commercial has forced the entire sports world to rethink everything it thought it knew about women's basketball. Not because the WNBA asked for that shift, not because a big marketing plan told fans to care, but because one athlete stepped into the spotlight and instantly commanded it. Caitlyn Clark didn't wait for permission. She created her own moment, a moment so powerful that every brand in the country is now sprinting to keep up with her momentum. What we're watching isn't just growth, it's transformation. A cultural pivot where the stadium isn't the attraction, the star inside it is. And whether the league embraces this or not, the world has already decided who it wants to see. Every viral clip, every sold-out product, every packed arena paints the same picture. Caitlyn Clark has become the heartbeat of women's sports, the epicenter of attention, the spark that's rewriting the rules in real time. Years from now, people may look back and say this was the turning point, the moment when the future arrived early, when a rookie didn't just step into a league, she elevated it. When a simple stare into a camera lens became a declaration of dominance, loud enough for the entire world to hear. But that leads to one final question. A question only you, the fans, get to answer. Is Caitlyn Clark just the newest star in women's basketball, or is she about to become the icon who changes the game forever? Drop your take in the comments, because this story isn't slowing down, it's accelerating, and you're witnessing the rise of something no one was truly prepared for.